Hey, guys. This is huge. OK, cool. So I have a lot of slides for you guys. So I'm going to be going through them. I have about 80 slides. So now the session name is why mobile, why now? This is not really the main focus. I'm going to be talking a little bit about why. Probably you all know why it's important now. But I'm going to be talking more on how and the advanced SEO tactics and the site architecture that goes to optimize your mobile pages. And I'm going to be talking a lot on analytics and how you can dive in analytics and the different tools for mobile and so on. So probably you have a lot of questions. So if you can save it to the end of the session, that would be great. OK. So why mobile, why now? There's a lot of reasons. But one of the things is mobile usage now overtakes desktop for the first time ever, starting around January 2014. So now more people having more usage on mobile than desktop. Google now is approaching multi-screen world, and they're saying that smartphone now are almost the highest numbers of user interactions per day and serve as most common starting points. So there was a study that most of the people within the first 15 minutes of their day, when they wake up, the first thing they do, they reach out to their cell phones. Mobile scare, OK? You're going to start seeing more of this where Google actually scaring users. Hey, this site may not work on your device. Or hey, this site is not secure, and so on. So you need to pay attention that you might be losing users because Google is scaring them away. Mobile searches. This is Matt Cutts, March 2014. He said he expected that the number of searches on mobile will surpass PC searches this year. John Miller, you guys heard about this, the authorship removal from the SERPs. And the reason that they publicly mentioned it's they're going for a mobile design first, right? So it affects the mobile experience. So now mobile design will overtake the PC design for SERPs. So something to keep up to watch. Now, more SERPs, the SERP layout and design in PC or desktop searches now is led by the mobile-first design. So whatever works for mobile, this is what we're going to apply in desktop. Mobile rankings. So this is huge, right? To improve the search experience for smartphone users and address their pain points, we plan to roll out several ranking changes in the near future that address sites that are misconfigured for smartphone users. And today we're going to talk about a lot of these misconfiguration and a lot of the issues and crawl errors that face smartphone sites. So your issues, your problems, your mistake of the smartphone is affecting actually your rankings. OK, so mobile site technical architecture guidelines. There are three types of sites, right? There are what we call responsive, dedicated, and dynamic serving. Now, responsive is you have one URL, right? It's the same content. It's the same HTML. But you're using CSS to change the layout of the elements or the blocks of content on the page based on the user agent or based on the device, right? So one URL, one content, one HTML. Dedicated is you have one site for your mobile and a separate site for your desktop. Your mobile site could be m.site.com or site.com/m. I saw both configurations. Dynamic serving is you have one URL, but it's a different HTML and different content. And you tell search engines that, hey, I have different content. So if you're mobile, I'm giving you this content. If you're desktop, I'm giving you that content. But it's one URL. So these are the three most common configurations for sites. And I'm going to talk specifically on each one of them, how you optimize them, and what's the issues with each of these. Now, I worked in all three configurations at ABC, ABC News, and Disney. So I'm very familiar with all three of them. And just a word of caution, there is nothing more appropriate to you than another. Each industry is different. Even though that Google recommends responsive may not be the answer for your situation. So keep this in mind. So responsive sites, one URL, easier to maintain, all links going to the same URL. There is no redirects recommended by Google, but it's very slow. It's slower than dedicated sites, and it's slower than dynamic serving. So keep this in mind, right? And it's the same content. You cannot change the content for mobile versus desktop. So how you optimize it? First step, you have to check your Google Webmaster Tools crawl errors, and we're going to talk a lot of crawl errors later on. You need to allow search engines to crawl all assets, especially CSS, right? Because remember, CSS, it's what changes the layout of the pages. You need to check page load. Performance and speed is a big issue here, right? I read somewhere responsive as 4 times slower than dedicated sites. So you need to keep this in mind. And you need to optimize speed. Dynamic serving, as we said, right, it's one URL. But based on the user agent, you serve different content or different HTML. Now, here you have the capacity of having different content. It's a little bit slower, but not as responsive. It's higher cost to maintain because you have to track all the different user agents, and they keep updating every day, and new devices come out. Most of the sites have old redirect lists, so you have one user agent as mobile, and this user agent is no longer there, and stuff like that. It's a little bit complex on the technical implementation. And the one URL gets crawled multiple times because the Google desktop bot, right, hit the page, and you tell them, hey, by the way, I have different content for mobile. So they come again for the same page with a different user agent for mobile and hit the page again, right? So I'm hitting the page multiple times. You have to use a vary HTTP header. So vary HTTP header, it's a header response. It simply tells the search engines, hey guys, I have different content for mobile, right? So Google say, OK, check. I'm going to come visit this page again with the different user agent. It's simply a hint. In all my slides, if you download them later, I will have read more on the topic at each bottom of each slide, so you can go and read a little bit more about it. It's a very important signal also to browsers. So hey, should I retrieve the same cached version, or should I bring the new cached version for the different device? So it's very important. This is how vary header looks like. At the end, it says vary user agent, so search engines know that there is a different content for mobile for this page. Automatic redirects and user agent detection. So you detect what's the user agent coming your way, and based on this, you provide the different content. You have to maintain these lists by the server, by whatever company is doing, like Akamai or whatever. And when you match a user agent, there is a common mistake that they treat tablets as smartphones. So just make sure, I don't know if you're using the same site for your tablet or using a different site. I saw both ways. Just make sure smartphones and tablets are two different things. Google is saying do not clock, right? Because when we're talking about this, I'm giving different content for different devices. So in a way, clocking comes to mind. So it said, Google said you shouldn't be looking for a Google bot to give a different content, but you should be looking for the device, not the search engine. So Google will identify itself as like iPhone or Samsung or something, and this is what you should be looking for to give the different content, smartphone versus desktop, not a search engine versus a user. And Google changed Google changed their name. So it used to be Googlebot-Mobile, and now it's only Googlebot for all desktop and mobile smartphones. But they still have the Googlebot-Mobile, but this is only for featured phone, which in a way the dummy phones that we used to have, the old text. There's 2 types to do redirects for the different devices. This is the recommended using HTTP redirection, right? So you identify the device, and then you redirect through 301 or 302. The other way is using JavaScript, which most of search engines recommend against, so it's not recommended to use JavaScript to do redirects from desktop to mobile or from mobile to desktop. Dedicated mobile sites, this is the 3rd type. So you have your desktop.com, and then you have the m.site.com or site.com/m. It's way faster than the other two approaches. You have your own dedicated mobile content. You can cut the clutter. You have a different interface, so it's much better. It's way easier to implement, but there's a link equity dilution, right? Because some people will be linking to your mobile versions, others will be linking to the desktop version. So there's some issue there, but you can consolidate it easily. And it's a little bit crawled multiple times too with different user agents and so on. OK, there are 3 things that you need to do for dedicated sites if you go that route. One, in the desktop, and probably all of you know that, you need to use rel alternate. So on the desktop, you link to your mobile version. And on the mobile page, you link using canonical to the desktop version. Now, also, you can do in the sitemaps, right? So Google respects the sitemaps more than canonical in general. So in the sitemaps as well, for the mobile XML sitemaps, for the desktop XML sitemaps, you can add rel alternate ref equals, and you give the mobile version of each URL in the desktop sitemap. So that's another signal as well. You need to create XML mobile sitemaps. This is a tip I heard somewhere, I think in SMX or Moz, I can't remember exactly. But you can take your desktop URLs, put them in a list, use Screaming Frog, change the user agent to mobile, and see what URLs you're getting back from Screaming Frog. And you see if it's working or not. You're getting the right mobile URLs or not. So this is a very useful way of seeing, OK, I'm giving the mobile user agents the right URL in the mobile version. Always make sure that you offer users a link to the full desktop. And you should track that link. And I'm going to talk a little bit why and why it's important. And make sure your mobile site is spiderable. We saw a lot of times that, hey, we don't want the mobile site to rank, so we're going to block it or stuff like this. Or, oh, when I go to the desktop, my mobile site is ranking. So just making sure it's rankable, and then you work all the other configurations, and it should work fine. OK, so this summarizes everything I just said, right? The 3 different, the pros and cons, and the SEO tactics for each one. OK, and we are at slide 26. OK, we're doing well. So word of caution. 1, responsive is not the answer for all your problems. So I read a lot of studies, and none of them spoke about going from dedicated to responsive give us a huge traffic boost. Usually, it's going from no mobile to mobile, responsive, dedicated, whatever, made a huge difference. So if dedicated is working for you, and you are like a heavy site with a lot of information, a lot of data, and so on, and you think responsive will not be the right solution for you, you don't have to go responsive, right? So dedicated is a great option for a lot of sites. It doesn't have to be always responsive. I spoke about Googlebot Mobile and Googlebot, and if you have no mobile pages, right? So let's say you have a lot of mobile pages, but this specific page you don't have a mobile counterpart, display the desktop. Don't give a 404. OK, if you're going from a separate URLs to the same URLs, right? So you have dedicated URLs, and now you're changing the site configuration to have one URL, use 301 redirects. If you're going from one URL to separate URLs, use 302 redirects. And these are like Matt Cutts and Miley recommendations, and the link is there. So one link, 301, separate links, use 302. Tablets, Google doesn't mention anything about tablets. In the past, we used to have a separate site for tablets on ABC News. Now we've consolidated everything in one URL. A lot of sites use the desktop version for tablets as well. Rankings. OK, so you have your traditional ranking factors, right? And I'm not going to discuss those. I'm going to discuss these 4 elements here specifically because they are very important to mobile rankings. 1 is user experience. 2 is speed and performance. 3 is the mobile errors. And 4 is the broken content. These have a huge impact on mobile rankings. No one ever said what's the weight of each of these elements. Is it huge, big, and small? So, but in general, they're very important. User experience. So we have Matt Cutt and Danny here joining the conference. And this actually took place, right? So they were talking, they're having one of their sessions, and Matt was asking, hey guys, how many of you have autofill markup, hello? Okay, auto markup on mobile site forms? So then he said, this is not an SEO really, right? Or this is not mobile. And Macos, he said, it is. So what I'm trying to say is user experience and usability is a part of the algorithm that Google looks at, especially for mobile. So I'm not going to talk about user experience in general. I have a few things that you guys should look at, but make sure that you avoid plugins like Flash, Silverlight, Java, and so on, because this causes broken content that will not work in mobile. Make sure you configure the viewport, which tells the different browsers how to display the screen, what's the width of the screen for the different mobile devices. Size content, use good font size for the different devices. A lot of times we will see very small font size for like a mobile that is not readable, and Google can actually figure out all these 5 elements, so that's why I mentioned them here. And make sure any tab, anything that you tap, any button or anything is configured well, the size, so users can actually use it correctly. There's 4 things here that I have it for you, are great resources. Multi-device design by Google, the 25 principles of mobile site design. They go through things like, should you have the navigation on the right or the left? How users use their thumbs and stuff like this. So this is great information. How to do mobile optimized forms. And the last one is by Avinash. It's a great post about mobile e-commerce. So how you can tie e-commerce, design, user experience, and all analytics in one place. So this is a great resource that you guys absolutely should read. OK, so let's talk about speed and performance. This is very interesting to me, right? 80 to 90% of the end user response time is spent on the front end. So start there, which means that most of the speed and performance is affected by the front end, not the back end. And if you think about it, 90% of the time we spend, we focus on the database, the back end, the servers, and so on, right? So here, Google is telling us the back end affects the speed way more than the back end. This is what they claim, right? So the first and the most important tool that to use there, this is where you should start, right? You should use Google Page Speed Insights tool. And it gives you 2 scores, right? One for desktop, one for mobile, and also gives you score not only in speed, but it also gives you a score on usability, right? So this is a great starting point. You should absolutely check your site. So your site, you should check the different templates that you have. So you have a home page, you have a section page, you have a product page, you have a landing page, you have a category page. And the way we do it in ABC News is we have a historical track of all these templates, and we go check them like every couple of weeks or every month. And whenever we do design changes, we test the HTML first, and we test the site just to see if there is any differences or any impact on the site. So I recommend that you use this a lot. Now, optimized rendering, something that you're going to keep hearing a lot. So most of the sites do the second way, right? Think of your WordPress blog. It will not function unless it retrieves everything from the database. And if you cannot connect to the database, you will get nothing, right? These are sites like, hey, I'm not going to display anything to the user till I finish retrieving everything from the backend. This is the wrong way of doing it, right? What you need to do is optimized rendering, which is you get piece by piece. So I was speaking to a Google engineer and said, this is the way we do it. We get the server response from Google, and then we display the header before we even get the results from Google. And at the same time, we communicating the header response back to the browser and displaying the logo and the header. This is the time when we retrieve the results, and then we get the results. So you need to think about server response first, and Google goes over like, and then optimized rendering, right? Piece by piece, right? Always make sure you give a server response first, and then the logo or the navigation first, and then you do the rest of the page. This you're going to hear a lot, and I think it's going to have a huge impact on ranking in the future. ATF, right, above the fold. Now, Google in one of their posts, this is what they said. They expect that the above the fold content should load in 1 second. So look at your site, see above the fold content, how much it takes, and you should optimize it for 1 second. And they go in details how you should optimize that content to show in 1 second. So you need to pay attention to this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some optimization tips there. But for example, the DNS lookup should have 200 milliseconds, and then the HTTP request to another 200 milliseconds. Sorry, the server response 200 milliseconds. I don't want to get a lot of technical, but I want to give you like an overview of all the different factors that affect that. How to optimize speed? 1, avoid multiple redirects. So this is a huge issue that Google sees a lot in a lot of other sites. Is okay, we are in you go hit the example.com or site.com, and then site.com redirects to site.com, and the site.com redirects to site.com/, and then checks if it's a mobile or a desktop, then it redirects to the mobile site, and so on. This wastes a lot of time till the user sees something on their browser. So avoid that. Consolidate DNS requests. You won't believe how many DNS requests. So every third party you're working with, every ad provider, every one of them is a DNS request. I saw some sites with 130 DNS requests above the fold alone. So you go and retrieve all of this before you display your content, right? And especially like ads are very important for us. We have to display ads at the same time, something like this. So see how many DNS requests you have on above the fold and how you can minimize or consolidate. Enable gzip compression. That reduces about 90% of the size of the page. Remove any legacy code. You will be surprised how many dev teams, when they do development or additional development, they just build on whatever is there, right? So most of the time, after a few years, you will have chunks of code in your page that no one knows why it's there. So it's a very useful exercise to go back and look at the code. Do we need this? And when you optimize something, optimize the whole code, not just adding chunks of additional code. Optimize images. Proper formatting and compression is a big thing. Use web font instead of encoding text and images. That saves you also a lot of time. Server response error, browser caching. So you can set expiry date for content that expires, or you can set max age 120. So hey, refresh the cache after 120 days or whatever. Visible content, I recommend that you guys read this. These are 2 links. How you can prioritize your content on the page. What should appear first? What should appear second? Because it's all about above the fold. So we need to make sure that the above the fold content ranks or displays first before the rest of the page. Eliminate any above the fold render blocking JavaScript and CSS. So in the past, we always said, hey, push all your JavaScript and all your CSS externally, right? That was the common SEO thing. Now, we're changing how we're saying it. We say, you can have inline CSS for above the fold elements. So you don't have an additional request externally to retrieve that and go back to the page to display the content. So Google recommends this. A lot of people recommend that. So you can see all the above the fold content, and you can optimize the JavaScript and the CSS to work better and have inline CSS within your page. You have to read about how you defer parsing JavaScript and asynchronous JavaScript resources. These are 2 big things right now. So by deferring JavaScript or using asynchronous JavaScript defined in your header, this actually can minimize the time this page load drastically. You can optimize CSS. We said use inline CSS for above the fold content and avoid CSS imports, especially in responsive. Very bad idea. And add a lot to the speed, to the performance. Put CSS in the document head. These are a few other elements that I recommend that you guys read. Cindy Crum also did a great presentation in MOSCON recently, a few months ago. So here's the link. I recommend that you guys read it as well. So we discussed user experience. We discussed performance and speed. Now let's get at the 2 things, crawl errors, mobile crawl errors, and broken content. Specifically, these 2 elements have been mentioned a lot by Google that they will affect your rankings. So mobile errors. I read this, but avoiding these mistakes, this is by Google, avoiding these mistakes help your smartphone user engage with your site, blah, 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 blah. We plan to roll out several ranking changes in the near futures that address sites that are misconfigured for smartphones. And they give a list of errors, right? So the first step, this is where you start. You go to your Google Webmaster Tools. You will have three or four or five different tabs, depends on your site. You click on smartphone. This is where all the crawl errors for the smartphone site. Feature phone is the dummy phones, right? And then you have all these different errors, right? So first, faulty redirects are the one type of errors that Google really concerned about, and they keep warning about it, right? So faulty redirect is when you don't have a mobile page, or you redirect the mobile page or the desktop page to a bad mobile page. So all of these pages, I'm just going to direct them to the home page. Or all these pages, I'm going to redirect them to a category page. At ABC News, we had an issue where we had all the redirects correct, but a subsection, right, or a subcategory was redirecting back to the category and didn't go to the subcategory. And we saw these errors, right? So you have to go through your site and find these errors. And Google will say, hey, this is the mobile scare, the Google scare, right? They will say, hey, guys, this site may open the site homepage. So for me as a user, I don't want to waste my time. This is going to go to the wrong page. I'm not going to go there. Even Google now sends emails in Google Webmaster Tools notifying webmasters of faulty redirects. This is how important you can tell for Google. Unplayable videos. This is a huge error as well for mobile, right? Because a lot of video players still using Flash or other elements that are not playable on mobile, you get unplayable videos. And big, huge sites, big vendors are still having this issue. So make sure you have no Flash for your video player. Update your video player. It's better to use HTML5 if you're not there. Start to investigate and get your video players correct. Consider having the transcripts. This is coming directly from Google, actually, guidelines, and say it's very good if you have the transcripts on your mobile pages for video players. OK, another type of error, interstitials. Right, OK, so we all have them on the site and so on, and Google say, oh, this is bad user experience. We don't like this. Sites with these kind of things might affect their rankings. So the two on the left are the bad way of doing it, right? So it's a pop-up or interstitial saying, hey, download our app or whatever, right? This is the wrong way. This is the right way of doing it. You will have a top banner saying, hey, this is how you can do it there. Mobile errors, irrelevant cross-linking. So I'm in a dedicated site, mobile site, and the site keeps linking to the desktop, but bad links, right? So Google look at irrelevant cross-linking, where mobile or desktop linking to the other version of the site, but the wrong, they are irrelevant to each other. So they look at these ones. Infinite redirect loops. It seems like Google is facing in other search engines a lot of misconfiguration on the servers. So the desktop goes to the mobile, and the mobile goes to the desktop, and so on. So watch out for these. So this is the most important crawling errors out there. Now, broken content. Unplayable videos, Flash or Silverlights, all the different pop-ups, sideways scrolling, tiny fonts or buttons, device-specific content that will not work in other devices, and slow pages. All of these Google consider to be an issue with a site. OK, so I'm done with all of this. I'm going to talk like a couple of minutes on mobile app indexing and deep linking. OK, so this is a very simple concept, and I encourage you guys, if you have an app, you should absolutely do this because it does increase the traffic to your app. So you can provide Google on the header of each page saying this page lives here in our app. And it's very simple formats. So when you are an Android device, right, and you have the site or the page, I can open it directly in the app instead of opening it on mobile site or a smartphone. So Google is pushing for this, right? Working with them on multiple, like we did ABC News, we did ESPN, we're doing ABC now. So they are pushing towards this. So this is something big and coming. Twitter have been doing this for a while now. If you ever implemented Twitter cards on your sites, simply how you open a link back into your app. And this is very straightforward. If you don't have the Twitter card implementation for all the deep links, you should absolutely do it. Deep links errors. If you implement deep links on your site, Google Webmaster Tools can give you actually if there is any errors there. The top error is mismatched content, where your deep link links to a page on the app that is different from the page on the mobile site or the desktop site. So, and they will tell you what are these pages and so on. The other important thing for deep links is you have to enable specific resources like JavaScript and stuff for robots and the robots.txt file. Otherwise, they cannot do the deep links. So when you work with their team or you implement it, they can tell you, actually, these resources are blocked. We can't do the deep links. Social. OK, why I mentioned social? Because mobile and social is like a match made in heaven, really. So 78% of all US users are mobile. This is for Facebook. So this is huge. 80% of all the users of Facebook are using it on mobile, so in US. So how does impact us, right? Check how your social media buttons appear in the mobile site. You'll be surprised. I saw very bad implementations where hover over, and when you go up the page, the social buttons get in your way. So you should make sure that your social buttons, I like the Mashable, how they do it. So they have an implementation above the fold, right? And when you scroll down, they give you a couple of links at the bottom of the story as well. Another thing also to watch for is dark social traffic. OK, so if you look at your mobile traffic in analytics, you will see a huge chunk coming from direct, OK? And really, on mobile traffic, no one will go to a page with like a 200 characters long URL, right? And there were a couple of studies done here in Conductor and other places saying some of that direct traffic is coming from search. But especially in mobile, I can assume that a big chunk of the direct traffic on mobile pages is coming actually from social apps. Because Facebook apps especially, right, do not identify themselves and don't tell anything to your Omniture, so you can't track actually where this traffic is coming from. So Omniture or Google Analytics will assume that it's a direct traffic. So that's why your direct traffic is way bigger in mobile than it's on your desktop site. Mobile emails, this is a very interesting fact that I knew a couple of weeks ago, is mobile devices drive 66% of all email opens. So expect that most of the users who will get your emails are opening it on a mobile device. So this makes you think of emails in a whole different way. OK, so I finished everything. Good, we have some time here. Mobile analytics and tools, and this is very important, right? So you did all the work, you fixed all the crawl errors, you took care of your content. Now let's look at the analytics and some useful tools out there. One, study your site content traffic from desktop, tablet, and mobile. Now, tablet and mobile, it's system segments. So if you go to Google Analytics, you can actually see, you can segment by mobile traffic and by tablet traffic, but you cannot segment by desktop traffic. So you have to create that segment in your Google Analytics. So you can now say, oh, this is desktop, mobile, and tablet. So this is something you can do it. This is how I did it here. You go to conditions, mobile including tablet exactly matches no. And you name it desktop traffic, and now you have all the different segments of your traffic. Desktop, and you have mobile and tablet as a system segments already. Mobile and tablet segmentations, you can even create it a little bit further advanced. So you say, hey, I want all the organic mobile traffic. So you can break it by how much organic traffic coming from mobile, and you can look at that as well. Here on the side, this is like, for example, one of the views that we have. I'm breaking all the traffic from Google. So I want to see Google organic, how much mobile, how much desktop, and how much tablet traffic. This is coming from Miley presentation. It's a great presentation, checking for popular mobile pages with high bounce rate. This is a great example where you can say, give me mobile traffic, give me all the pages, let me check the bounce rate of the mobile pages, and let me go fix that. So mobile pages are now working even though they are popular, so you go and figure out what's the problem there. Page timing is another great report in Google Analytics where you can if you segment by mobile traffic, you can see the pages that are not doing well. And you have an average mobile traffic timing, and you can compare the average to each page and say, oh, I have a problem here. That's 68 is a big way above the average. So you can go and see what's the problem with these popular pages timing-wise or performance. There is also speed suggestion report. Google can give you speed suggestion for each page on your site and say, hey, there are 6 errors on this page that you should be fixing, and you can do that as well. Now, this is very important. When you have a dedicated mobile site, you should absolutely give the user a link to the desktop full site. And you do this for a couple of things, right? Users feel like there's more features sometimes there, but also this can give you an indication if your mobile site is working or not. Because if people like your mobile site, probably they will not click that link. So if you can add an event tracking, you can see the high CTR clicks on that link on the different pages. Oh, my product page or my checkout page, a lot of people are clicking on the take me to the desktop version of the site. There is a problem there. So this can give you insight about which mobile pages that users are frustrated with, and that's why you're going to the desktop version. Google Webmaster Tools, search queries. Now, if you do filters at the top, you can see mobile, web, video, images, right? So mobile, there's a wealth of information there. You can see all the queries, you can see all the top pages, and so on. Now, you want to compare your mobile versus all, not mobile versus web. Why? There was a recent study in Moz. You probably saw the CTR chart this morning was ran. I think Advanced Web Ranking did it. Now, web is a vertical, right? It's the web search in mobile and desktop. Mobile is only the mobile platform. So I'm comparing a vertical to a platform. That's why I don't like that comparison. So I compare all to mobile. All, it means mobile and desktop and tablet versus mobile. So this can give me more information in general. So I want to show you before I get here. So this is I do this every month, right? And you can do it every week and stuff. I download all the mobile queries, and I can do the same thing for pages. And I download all the mobile queries and all the all queries, right? And then I compare them next to each other. OK, I'm trying to identify where mobile is having problems. Oh, mobile here, overall impressions, 20%. So mobile is less by 20% than the desktop impressions. So maybe there is a problem. The click-through rate here, I have huge click-through rate. It's positive, 70% for mobile over the all ones. So here I can easily identify which are the mobile queries that are doing well for me, which mobile queries are doing bad for me, which the mobile pages are doing great, and so on. So this here can sum up a lot. So download your mobile and download your all, compare them together, and you can get a lot of information. Also, make sure you check your mobile keywords, right? So for mobile sites, you have to know that certain keywords are very important to mobile sites. So coupons, discounts, and deals. I'm a Toys R Us. I have my son. I see this toy. I'm checking on my cell phone if Toys R Us has any coupons or discounts on this toy on mobile, right? And guess what? Most of the sites don't have any coupons mobile pages. So think of that. Think of all the product or brand reviews on mobile, the direction to a specific store, direction to a specific page. These are all pages and concepts that are important to mobile devices. Find the store. One of the biggest searches for Starbucks is finding a Starbucks store, right? So having these kind of pages are important. I want to see the menu of that store before I get in. I want to compare prices. Walmart did something very smart. They have an app to compare the prices of their products at the store. So it's their own app, and it tells you, oh, it's cheaper in Amazon, but we're going to beat that price. So why I want to use anything else? I'm still at Walmart. I'm comparing their prices, and then I'm buying their price at cheaper things. So a lot of people compare prices. Toys R Us allows you also to do that and do a price match. What to order? Think of unique mobile scenarios for your brand. I read this somewhere, like car insurance, accident help, or file a claim. You get into an accident, you want to take few pictures and file a claim. This is a huge example for mobile usage. So see what are the different scenarios and ways that mobile is very specific to your industry. Conductor, you guys all heard the news, right? So mobile is there, mobile local. You can have the word summary, so you can get a lot of information there. Google Fetch, you can put there the URL, and they can fetch it for you, and they tell you. This is a very important tool, especially when you do design or design changes. You can see how Google fetch and render the page. So this is very important. Google will tell you, hey, when we fetch this mobile page, we were denied these resources. Some of them are external resources you have no control, like third-party ads and stuff like this. But see if any of the resources are important for your mobile page to render. There's Developer Chrome, DevTools. This is a great tool to check your mobile pages. This is sweet, right? So Google tells you in AdWords what's the mobile search volume for this keyword, right? I'm not sure how many people are aware of it, but this is great, right? So here, for example, I'm searching for this term, and it seems like, OK, it tells you this is the desktop versus, this is the mobile versus total, right? How this could be important? Pizza, right? So think of the pizza industry, for example, right? So in 2013, 51% of all searches on Google were coming from mobile. In 2014, it's 61% of all searches. If I'm in the pizza business, a mobile site makes a huge impact on my business, because now people are ordering pizza on their sites. They are by the pool. They are outside. I'm ordering pizza to come to me. If I have a gas station, right, check this out. 75% of all people searching for gas stations are doing it on mobile, right? So this is huge, right? You can get a lot of information on mobile trends and mobile search volume over Google Ad Planner. I didn't know about this actually till recently. This is more tools out here, and exactly the right time. So good. So we have some time for QA. I know I was speaking very fast, so.